So I posted a story about how Alabama Republicans are trying to propose a constitutional amendment to pressure school districts to say Christian prayers every morning. And the punishment, if school districts don't play along, is that they could lose a quarter of their state funding. Well, it turns out this is something that was posted. This is part of a trend of white Christian nationalists attacking schools. They feel like they win either way because they get to force Christianity on kids or punish public schools that refuse to comply. This is from Nick Fish of American Atheist. Our team is tracking close to 100 anti-education bills in state legislatures nationwide. I mean, again, first of all, this stuff is real. That video I just showed you from Joel Webbin, that is not an anomaly. This is a guy in office who's trying to punish public schools for not promoting Christian nationalism. The other thing I want to say is I really do appreciate that one of the unspoken benefits of some of these larger atheist groups, and I don't think they get much credit for this, is that they really do track at the state level the types of bills that are being discussed and promoted by Christian nationalists. So a lot of the stuff we know about what Dusty Devers is trying to do in Oklahoma, or what some low-level state representative who you've never heard of in a state you rarely visit is trying to do. And we know this stuff because groups like American Atheists do track this legislation and they inform their members what they can do to put a stop to it. And they get credit for that. They should get credit for that. What else we got, Den? This one says, so the White House tweeted a picture of Donald Trump, the actual official White House account, and Trump said, "He who saves his country does not violate any law," which again is scary because it rationalizes anything he wants to do and says, if I want to do it because I think I'm saving my country, it's de facto legal. Frightening. And what this says is, from American Atheists, that this sort of rhetoric is disgusting, un-American, and downright dangerous. No one is above the law. And it is exactly what the white Christian nationalist ideology has been pushing for years. The idea that Donald Trump is a savior figure who is ordained to rule and is answerable only to God. I mean, that's the thing. You think anything you do is justifiable because you claim you're saving the country. This is the same way that Christian extremist I just played for you acts. He says, if I'm cruel to people, if I want people put to death because I think what they're doing is evil, abortion is evil, so we got to put abortion providers to death, something like that. It's always okay because they think they're fighting a righteous battle. And he's doing it for religious reasons. Trump says he's doing it for political reasons. And their followers never challenge it, never criticize it, because they treat Donald Trump the same way they once treated Jesus, like a savior who can do no wrong. And that is a dangerous mentality that we need to help break people of. And that starts by just talking about it with people you are close to and making sure everyone is aware of how serious this problem is. This one says, okay. Just looking through this here. Let's skip this one, Den, only because it's a different thing. Oh, this is interesting. This is from Ryan Burge, who is a really good with data online. And this is interesting. He said in 2018, the Paul Simon Public Policy Institute did an analysis of taxing and spending at the county level in Illinois. For every $1 Cook County pays in taxes, Cook County, of course, includes Chicago, it gets back 90 cents in benefits. For the suburbs, they get 53 cents back for every dollar. But for the south of Illinois, they get $2.81 for every $1 they give in taxes. And what does this mean if you're not familiar with this thinking? Every time we pay taxes, all the red states, they always say, we want lower taxes, and we should punish states, we should make them pay their fair share, whatever. Like Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, they get back from the government way more than they put into the system. California, on the other hand, gives a lot to the federal government, and they don't get nearly as much back from it. The blue states very much subsidize the red states. And what Burge was doing here is saying, guess what? In Illinois, Chicago, which gets all the backlash from Republicans, everyone hates Chicago if you're a conservative. Every time Chicago people pay taxes, they get less back in benefits from the state. But if you're from the orange part of this map, the very southern tip of Illinois, you get nearly $3 back for every $1 you put into the system. And the amazing thing about this is, guess which part of Illinois is the reddest part of Illinois? The part that wants to secede from the rest of the state, the part that elects only Republicans all the time for everything. Of course, it's the moochers. It's the orange bits of the state. It's part of the red parts of the state as well. At the bottom here, they get way more from the system than they put into it, and yet they keep electing people who demand no one pays any taxes without ever acknowledging that they're the ones leeching off of everybody else. Unbelievable. What else we got, Den? This is just funny. So Right Wing Watch posted this video of Paula White, who is the director of the new White House Faith Office. And it was just a commercial from one of her videos, I think, where she was preaching. And she had this commercial where she's like, I'm challenging you to give me money. You can give me a sacrificial offering of $133, $52, $414. Those correspond to verses in the Bible or something. But it is amazing to me that she's literally still grifting, even though she's about as powerful a religious leader as you could get right now. She runs the White House Faith Office. I guess I'm surprised she's grifting in cash instead of launching her own meme coin. I feel like that's a thing televangelists would do these days. But it is amazing. Like, it's weird that Donald Trump will try to sell coins, sell images of himself, sell gold, whatever stupid things he's selling. But so does everyone around him. Trump surrounds himself with other grifters who use their prominence to make cash for themselves. And Paula White is now using her White House connections to make money by herself as well. She's calling it a sacrificial offering. I mean, it's straight up grift. It's just taking money from old people who are dumb enough to fall for it. Amazing. By the way, I posted something else today, Dan. I don't know if you have this, but it was a video from another pastor. This guy right here. I don't know if the video is going to work. We could try it. Does it work?
I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over a man. She must be quiet, for Adam was formed first, then Eve. What say you?
So a lot of this is, there are men in ministry that don't like women in ministry. And if Pastor Paula White was Pastor Paul White, and she was from the Word of Faith movement, they probably wouldn't be making such a big deal that Trump appointed Pastor Paul White to head up the faith office. But since it's Pastor Paula White, now everything she does, says, believes it's an issue. And unfortunately, I don't think that's the position that they should take. I disagree with it. I think Paul would disagree with it. You have women apostles, women pastors, women preachers, women teachers, women prophetesses, women evangelists then, and you have them today.
So that is Jackson Lahmeyer, who is a pastor from Oklahoma, he's the sort of person who would say women should not be allowed to be pastors or preachers. But when it's Paula White and she's working for Donald Trump, suddenly it's like, no, the Bible's cool with it. He doesn't address the verse from Timothy that says women should be silent and subservient in a church capacity. He doesn't address the hypocrisy. He doesn't call out other pastors who are sexist. He just says, no, it's cool. It's Paula White. She's fine. Like, all of these people want their access to power. They'll say whatever they need to say to keep it. Paula White's cool with it. She doesn't care what Trump does in the name of her faith, because she'll go along with it. It gets her access. What else we got, Den? Oh, this was fascinating. I made a video a couple weeks ago about how North Dakota was trying to pass a bill to put intelligent design in science classes, and that bill got defeated 25-22. Again, it should not be that close, but it's North Dakota, and it's a fairly red state. But even in that red state, a lot of people are like, we are not going to launch something that's going to get us sued. We are trying to preserve our science classes. We don't want to make our kids dumber. And I mean, I guess, yay, they defeated the intelligent design bill. That's good news. It is scary that if two people flipped their votes, that would be a totally different story, though. So, yeah, scary, but yay, I guess. What else is there? Um, this one's just funny. I think this was Fox News. They were saying Senator Tina Smith from Minnesota, she was blasting Elon Musk for some of the stuff he was doing. And when they made a segment about it, the woman they showed on the left side of your screen there, that's Tammy Baldwin, I believe from Wisconsin. Uh, and Tina Smith says, that's Tammy Baldwin, not me. You can keep track of all the hundreds of white guys, but it's the 28 women in the Senate that trips you up, Fox News. Very funny, very interesting, very on point. They can't tell the women apart. So the White House recently banned the Associated Press from covering in person what happens at their press briefings and like on Air Force One. And then of all these White House correspondents, the other news organizations, they said nothing publicly about it. And by the way, why did the White House kick out the Associated Press? Well, because the Associated Press is not propaganda. And the Associated Press said, we're not going to call it the friggin' Gulf of America. It's the Gulf of Mexico. And so the White House saw an opening and they said, fine, you can't cover us anymore, not in person. And then the rest of the White House correspondents didn't say anything publicly. Maybe they tried behind the scenes, which is a dumb way to do it. They didn't complain about it. And what did the White House do now? They said, well, we're going to handpick all the reporters who cover us up close and personal. So they're making it a whole propaganda thing. And Parker Malloy, who does a great job of covering the media, says genuinely kind of funny that after White House reporters spent years complaining that Biden wasn't accessible enough and saying how much more access they have with Trump, that they're now getting the door slammed in their faces, to be honest. And that is funny, but it is also really frightening because while reporters can cover the Trump administration, you don't have to be there in person to do it. It means that if something important happens, like on Air Force One in another country, you want people there who can document it for the sake of posterity, for history, who are not just propagandists trying to get a headline or clicks out of it. And the White House is essentially saying, yeah, we don't want those people here. We're going to kick you out. We're going to bring in Breitbart and whatever right-wing MAGA cultist is going to say nice things about us. And that means there could be chunks of this presidency where we actually do not know what is happening because there are no reliable reporters near the president to cover that stuff. And that is a very scary thought. So much for free speech, right? This one was amusing too, scary. So I've covered this guy before. This is Representative Josh Shriver of Michigan. And he just proposed a bill in Michigan to overturn same-sex marriage. Or at least I think his resolution was, hey, Supreme Court, you should overturn Obergefell so that marriage equality is not nationalized and return it to the states so that the states that want to end marriage equality can do it. Because I hate gay people, he says, he implies. So he had a press conference where he was talking about his bill. It was not widely attended, but he also was too afraid to take any questions from people because he's not a smart dude. He's just a Christian zealot who wants to hurt people. So he loves making TikToks. He loves making those type of videos. But the second there's two-way dialogue, he shrinks and cowers because he doesn't know what he's talking about. But I'm going to remove myself from this picture here. Guess who was at that press conference? There's one guy. His name is Senator Jeremy Moss of Michigan. He's openly gay. He does not like Josh Shriver. And Jeremy Moss appeared at that press conference, sat in the front row. And then when Josh Shriver walked away, because he's a coward who doesn't want to ask questions, Jeremy Moss took the podium and decided to answer questions for everybody and just use the attention they were already giving this dude to talk about the importance of marriage equality. I got to say, as a Democrat, that's a great way to turn the tables on these attention-seeking bigots, and I love that. I don't think this bill is going to go anywhere regardless. I don't think there are a lot of Republicans in Michigan, which could be a swing state if you're going at the state level or beyond. There's not a lot of Republicans eager to lead the way to overturn marriage equality. This idiot wants to do it. And even then, you have Democrats who are like, oh, no, 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 you are not getting the spotlight for this. I'm going to make your life a living hell if you're going to do this, by at least taking attention from you and explaining to people why you're so completely wrong. And I love that. We talked about this video. Was that it?
I do not permit.
I think that might be. Oh, was there one more here? Oh, this one's just sad. Great headline from The Onion. Democratic leaders stand real still in hopes no one notices them. It's so frustrating that the most prominent leaders in the Democratic Party, Chuck Schumer in the Senate, Hakeem Jeffries in the House, are two of the worst Democratic communicators ever, where they really don't know how to rally the troops. They don't know how to get progressives active and excited. I mean, I mentioned them earlier, but the people who are actually doing that, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Max Frost, Jamie Raskin, the people who are really getting people going, Jasmine Crockett, I love when they're on TV because they know how to speak to different types of people, the type of people who are actually active and going to town halls and really speaking out against Republicans and also running for office at local levels. And it is kind of amazing that those people don't actually have a lot of institutional power. Raskin does. The other ones really don't. But the two people in charge of the House and Senate as Democrats, the people who should be on the front lines of calling out the bad things that Republicans are doing, are basically nowhere to be found. And even when they're doing interviews, they're pointless. I mean, Rachel Maddow interviewed Hakeem Jeffries this week, asking basically, what the hell are you going to do to draw attention to the cruelty of the Trump administration and Elon Musk? And his answer was nothing. I don't remember what he said because it wasn't memorable. And even when she prodded him, like, I don't think that's what people want you to be doing right now. They want you to be doing more. He didn't take the hint. I mean, it's very frustrating. I will say, I do think in 2004, 2005, Democrats were also demoralized, having lost a big election, despite all the horrible things George W. Bush was doing. You did not know who the next leader was going to be. It took a while before that next leader really came on the scene. Like, most people didn't know Barack Obama until 2006. And here we are in that interim period where we don't know where the Democratic Party is going, who's going to lead them into the future, who's really going to take that torch and run with it. But I'm telling you, it's not those guys. Like, God, we need to do so much better than them. And this, of course, from AOC, it may not be cool or hip in some circles, but we legitimately do need a massive amount of people to run for office. Flood the school boards, councils, county seats, state legislatures, Congress. Big changes at the top happen while the ground shifts at the bottom. That can start now. She's absolutely right. You can go to run for something, Google that site if you're interested. I will say it is so... I mentioned Sean Faircloth earlier in this video, who is running for state office. But I get so inspired locally when there are people I know who are running for school boards and city councils and the park district and library seats. Those are like, you don't get a lot of name recognition. You don't get a lot of media hits or anything. You don't have to spend a lot of money on those races. But the problem is, Republicans who want to destroy the system are so confident they're the best people for the jobs. Meanwhile, the liberals and progressives who actually would be amazing in those positions tend to also be the most self-critical, thinking, well, I'm not the best person for this, so maybe I should not run. And the problem then is none of the good people run and all of the idiots run. And that's what we need to fix. So she's right. Like, if you know how to work a campaign at the local level and you get used to it and you run for it, especially when you're young, you are going to be poised and ready to run for a state office in the future. And then who knows what happens from there. And this is one good thing, a silver lining to the Trump administration right now, is they're so bad at what they're doing that I hope it's inspiring a lot of people to run for office at the local level right now. Because that's one way for them to fight back in a way they can actually do something. So I agree fully.